Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! I will never forget the memories that Descendants 2 left us with as fans of Descendants and Zombies, because by Descendants 2, the script had gotten better, the music had gotten deeper, and it was really an emotional time for every fan of Descendants, because you remembered watching the original Descendants back on July 31st, 2015. We wanted a sequel for forever, and it took Disney 2 years to come up with a sequel, but by Descendants 2, the music had gotten better, the story was that much deeper, and these characters really met their defining moments, because people like Sophia Carson and Dove Cameron finally had the chance to achieve legacies, and I had never felt more honored to be a part of it, because I remember 10 years ago being here. I remember uploading the occasional Descendants and Zombies videos. They were never as popular as they are now, and it had everything to do with the heart and the dedication you guys showed me after I came back on YouTube with a new Descendants and Zombies podcast that was dedicating itself to uploading hundreds of videos for Descendants and Zombies fans, because you see, as a YouTube creator, one of the most valuable things that you have to do is listen to your audience every single time. So if you scroll over to your analytics in your YouTube studio, there's a section called Trends. Upon clicking on Trends, you will notice what everybody is YouTubing, and one of the top key searches now is Descendants 2. So because Descendants 2 is one of the top key searches and everybody wants to listen to their favorite songs from the Descendants score, like Chillin' Like a Villain, Space Between, whatever it may be, Ways to Be Wicked, which are songs that I've loved so much. I will never forget that opening dance number where they shot it in front of that castle, and they were so appreciative of that moment because they knew they were about to become part of history, and they were undeniably going to be a part of something special. And Descendants 2, if anything, was something special because it was history that we all had the chance to be a part of. I will never forget that night when I was sitting home on my couch and Descendants 2 just showed on the W Network. They were doing a crossover promotion between Disney and the W Network here in Canada. And I remember watching Descendants 2 for the very first time, and to say I was captivated, I think would truly be an understatement, because I was more than captivated. I think I was enthralled is a better word I could use to describe how I was feeling, because one thing I noticed about Descendants 2, they kept with the traditional opening where they were explaining the story, where they were picking up where they left off from Descendants. Of course, it was a backdrop of introducing us to these revered Disney villain kids. Of course, their parents wanted them to go on to achieve something far greater than they ever amounted to. But the thing was, this movie had a reoccurring theme of acceptance. And I remember watching the opening about how Dove Cameron was so excited for Descendants 2's premiere, and I had seen the gowns that they had worn on the red carpet premiere, and I think if there were ever two people that were very excited about Descendants 2's premiere, it had to have been Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson, because they were there for each other every step of the way. And I really appreciated the value that was put behind Descendants 2, because its message was a very profound message of acceptance being its reoccurring theme, how friendship was more important than ever given credit to before, and it was just something to really feel intrigued to be a part of. And I had felt so honored to record so many videos about Descendants 2 up to that point, because from the very first moment that I had seen Descendants 2, I knew it was going to be something special. I had seen and I heard all the criticism that Descendants 2 was receiving. To this day, it's still receiving criticism. People are saying that it's a movie that should have never been made. But when you look at it from the perspective of a fan of Descendants and Zombies, who is really going to agree with that? Nobody is ever going to agree with that. So because nobody is ever going to agree with that, because it has everything to do with how I listen to my audience every single time that I've ever uploaded the video, I think the best way of talking about Descendants 2 every time the opportunity arises to have a discussion about Descendants 2 is to celebrate moments like Descendants 2, like when the music video for Chillin' Like a Villain first premiered on the top 100 Billboard chart of 2017. And Sophia Carson skyrocketed to superstardom because of this song. She went on to record several other singles inspired by Descendants characters that she had the chance to portray. She had so many opportunities like Purple Hearts on Netflix, which I was a huge fan of. But I think when you talk about a defining moment in the career of Sophia Carson, because this was her first major role to really introduce us to fans, it would have had to have been her character Evie in Descendants, because she took a character with no backstory whatsoever. And I remember her being so honored to play this character. It was such an iconic moment for her that she always talks about when it comes to celebrating things like the 10th anniversary of Descendants, which I was really excited about this year, to be honest with each and every one of you. I was more excited than any other YouTube creator to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Descendants, because there are things called milestones that we get to. So when you realize that, say, 600,000 people are in love with Descendants and Zombies on YouTube, that's the opportunity for you to create a Descendants and Zombies YouTube channel that dedicates itself to uploading Descendants and Zombies videos every day. That's the opportunity to celebrate moments like Descendants and celebrating that the honor of being around for 10 years has actually existed and presented itself for Descendants fans. And I think that it's just not about talking about Descendants and Zombies. It's about how you make people feel about being fans of Descendants and Zombies. And I've always encouraged everybody that there's nothing wrong with being a fan of Descendants and Zombies, because I've been a fan of a lot of stupid things over the years, and really stupid things. You know, for many years I thought professional wrestling was real. So when I watched wrestling on TV, I thought that these guys actually hated each other. They were going to have an actual match over a championship because one wanted to be champion over the other, and one just simply wanted to be better than their opponent. And I thought that when they actually hit each other with cheers, and they hated each other when they were cutting promos, ever before I understood the concept of the business, and that was just story written and it was scripted. Oh, I thought these guys really hated each other and they were going to get into a Royal Rumble. I loved every time Royal Rumble and WrestleMania would happen because I really believed what I saw on TV was real. So, yeah, when I was a kid, everything I saw on Disney Channel I also thought was real. And I wish I could have been a kid. I wish I could have been a lot younger when Descendants of Zombies first premiered, because I really would have bought into the concept of how a soda plantation and a chemical plant would have exploded and everybody would have turned into zombies. I thought that was a really cool concept at 25 years old, watching it for the first time ever and getting to share in your stories and hear your stories about what made you fans of Descendants of Zombies. I could only wish to be a kid probably 7, 8 years old growing up watching this and thinking it was real, because I think that era was so fun to be a part of, you know, thinking that everything you saw on Disney Channel was real, and things like professional wrestling and all these vampire TV shows were real, because I was really scared to watch vampire TV shows years ago. I'm not so scared now, and you're probably saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, you are still a scaredy cat. Boo! Did I make you jump? Yeah, I really thought that vampire TV shows and shows about zombies and the end of time were real. I thought Jurassic Park was real, for God's sake, when I watched it for the first time. But you know something? That's what's so cool about having the opportunity to record so many wonderful videos about Descendants of Zombies, is because you believe in it just as much as the person watching your video has believed in it, and how they draw inspiration from it because of the music, because of the script, because of their favorite characters, how they feel passionate about events like the Worlds Collide Tour, having the chance to collect your favorite Descendants of Zombies dolls. The Zombies dolls are just as cool as the Descendants dolls, to be honest with each and every one of you. But I have this to say to each and every one of you. If you're passionate about stars like Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson, and you have forever believed that they have a chance of returning to reprise the role for the Descendants of Zombies franchises, then all I've ever wanted you to do is to continue to believe in that, because there are so many people out there in this world that feel so passionate about Descendants of Zombies and who get Descendants of Zombies more than ever given credit for. I remember when Freya Sky first released her single Silent Treatment. The single had just dropped within hours, and people were commenting on different reviews and different reaction videos that people were posting about the Silent Treatment reaction videos. Some of the people who were uploading reaction videos were mentioning my name without ever having mentioned my name, because I presented the review of Silent Treatment better than anybody else ever could, and I could tell the story about the Silent Treatment music video and the song better than anybody ever could. I could because I could understand it better. And one of the greatest honors that I've ever had as a radio show host and a journalist over the years is being able to analyze a song for its true meaning. And one thing I noticed about what people were leaving in the comments were how fans really didn't understand it because of the age demographic that Freya Sky necessarily appeals to. It's never been one specific age demographic that gets Freya Sky all the time. You don't have to be an adult. You don't have to be someone 25 to 30 years old to really understand who Freya Sky is. There was one girl here on YouTube who was reviewing it, and one thing that she put herself over for being was because she was Freya Sky's age. She said that she understood the song better than anybody else ever could. So she was pretty much putting that distinction and that honor on herself. She was giving herself credit where she didn't deserve it. The reality of this is there are more people out there who understand Freya Sky than ever given credit for. You don't have to be one specific age to understand who Freya Sky is. And you know something? That makes you some of the greatest fans in the world. If you have understood Freya Sky's music, if Freya Sky's music has touched your heart in so many unimaginable ways, then I think that deserves to be encouraged. And that forever deserves to be believed in and deserves to be supported. And if there was one guy on YouTube who wants to support you guys in being fans of Descendants of Zombies, who wants to encourage that, it's me. I've never wanted to take that away from anybody. That includes the hope that Zombies 5 will happen, Descendants 5 Book of Wonderland will be something special, because it will. I know that people will forever try to convince you that the reason behind the rise of Res was pretty much to write off the characters, Mal and Evie, and so they'd be forgotten about. I've heard so many ridiculous things. The concept between the rise of Res was pretty much write off these characters. I have this to say in response to that too. They will never be forgotten, no matter how many times Disney tries to write them off and to make them feel forgotten about, because they achieved so much rarity, and they deserve to be celebrated for their contributions to a franchise that really went the distance. And I say this because this has everything to do with how much you guys have believed in Descendants and how much you have stood by it. I don't care what a critic has to say on YouTube about how only certain people can understand Freya Sky's music because you have to be the same age as Freya. There are people younger than Freya Sky who get this music. There are people younger than Freya Sky who may have felt misunderstood or not accepted in the world for whatever reason they felt unaccepted in the world. And because they drew inspiration from Freya Sky and they love her so much, they feel more confident in their abilities. You don't have to be a specific person or feel a certain way to get Freya Sky. And I have so much respect for everybody who has stood by people like Freya and really allowed Freya to really come into her own in an industry that is forever and always changing, with new artists and new music being presented. And I think that with new music and new artists being presented all the time, there is more of a chance to fall in love with what you love and feel very passionate about, because those of you who attended the Worlds Collide tour had the honor to be a part of something special. And you felt as if you were part of something special, and that deserved to be honored. You guys didn't deserve to come home after seeing the Worlds Collide tour an hour after and watch a video on YouTube about how some stupid idiot felt about how the Worlds Collide tour didn't live up to their criteria. I think that each and every one of you felt special about Descendants and Zombies for your own reasons, and you've held on to those reasons for forever. So that doesn't give me the right to jump on my YouTube channel an hour after I see the Worlds Collide tour and say, this is how I felt about it. The quality of the merch didn't live up to a certain standard. It never exceeded my expectations. The ticket prices were too high. They should have never started at $200. I think $200 was a reasonable price, and I wish opportunities like this could have happened for Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson, because the value of friendship had never been put on display as much as it was because of Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson. I mean, that song Space Between from Descendants 2 was a song that touched everybody's hearts because it made you feel accepted and it made you feel understood for perhaps the first time ever in your life. If there was one thing that I gave Dove Cameron a profound amount of credit for and respect for, was how she always took the opportunity to get to know each and every one of her fans. She always also took the opportunity upon herself to offer advice to her fans, which is something that I've always loved to do throughout my radio career and on YouTube. Now, I may not have any business offering anybody relationship advice or how they may feel because of how they can relate to a song like Freya Sky's Silent Treatment, but I think that in this music, I think everybody felt as if they were a part of something special and they could really relate to Descendants music perhaps more than they ever could the music from High School Musical or even Hannah Montana. Because the cool thing about Descendants fans are, with Disney Plus now becoming available in so many different regions and so many different countries and in so many different ways, there are so many different forms to access Disney Plus now. You can pull up the original Descendants trilogy and you can go back in time and you can watch this trilogy and you can become familiarized with these characters and how much they meant to a franchise, because these characters pretty much came from out of nowhere. I remember the first promo that was ever put together about Descendants and Zombies. And you know something? I really loved how they showed the original Disney villains and the characters that were going to go on to represent their sons and daughters in an era that was very different from when these characters were very first introduced. These characters were introduced back in the 1950s, 1958 for Maleficent. By 1989, Ursula was first revealed. And then by 1957, I believe it was, the character Captain Hook made his premiere as part of the Peter Pan franchise. So, you know, it's been forever since we've seen these characters. So it was a very different take on what a Disney villain's kid was supposed to represent. It was a really cool kind of vibe, really different kind of attitude. And I think that's what people fell in love with, because many of you are too young to remember the premiere of the Maleficent Fairy character. That was back in 1958 for the Sleeping Beauty Classic. And I actually have the special edition Sleeping Beauty DVD. Why? Because I was a huge fan of Aurora, and I thought Aurora Aurora was the most beautiful Disney princess name that you could have ever given to a Disney classic princess of all time. And she's been one of the most revered as far as I'm concerned. You know, you can forever talk about characters like Snow White, and you can forever talk about characters like Jasmine, but my favorite Disney princess of all time has to be Sleeping Beauty. And if I had to choose a close second, it would definitely have to be Rapunzel. And the reason why I'm a huge fan of Rapunzel is because of Rapunzel's curiosity and for Rapunzel's appreciation of life. That's what I really appreciate about Rapunzel, her appreciation of life and how life meant so much to her when she finally got out of her tower. Because when she finally escaped the clutches of Mother Gothel, she was able to spread kindness more than any other Disney princess had ever spread it before. I know Snow White had her own form of kindness to spread back in 1938, but that was forever ago. So I think forever and always we've been waiting on a princess to really spread her own form and her own message of kindness, and ever since breaking away from the clutches of Mother Gothel and getting outside of her tower for the first time in 2010, Rapunzel experienced all her emotions. Her emotions were really going crazy, sometimes getting the better of her. She learned how to swing a frying pan, and she really represented the qualities of a Disney princess more effectively than I think anybody ever did. Now, I will forever and always be fans of princesses like Ariel. She was one of my favorite Disney princesses of classic era. Definitely Sleeping Beauty, but I think Rapunzel was one that really jumped at me because she really captivated me in so many unbelievable ways. And that's why I've forever advocated, if you didn't want to bring Ruby back into Descendants as Bridget, you could have easily brought her back as Rapunzel herself or even the daughter of Rapunzel, because I think she would have had so much to offer to the franchise. I think she still has a long way to go, and I've kind of just wanted to celebrate that with each and every one of you, just as I wanted to remember and celebrate these moments of Descendants 2's cast, because we will never see an era ever experience like this ever again. I don't care how many shows like Secrets of Silver Springs or The Villains of Valley View with Malachi Burton Disney introduces. I know there are a lot of fans of Malachi Burton out there, but I say this because I don't care what shows you introduce. There will never be an era represented by so many wonderful stars like we've seen because of Descendants and Zombies. I mean, the era of Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim was a beautiful story that represented zombies and took zombies to places that I don't think anybody ever expected zombies to get to, because what zombies amounted to was something far greater than ever given credit to. And so many people drew inspiration from these wonderful characters, and so many people felt as if they were a part of something that was so significant that really went on to change a person's outlook and perspective on life in so many ways than far ever given credit for. I have had the time of my life uploading videos about Descendants and Zombies for each and every one of you, and I've loved sharing my stories with each and every one of you about what makes me a fan of Descendants and Zombies, because I've never felt so intrigued or never felt so honored to have been a part of what I've had the chance to be a part of. And that's why I'll come back tonight and upload one final video with my thoughts in and on Descendants and Zombies as we continue to honor moments like the development of Descendants 2. Because I think everybody who was ever a part of Descendants 2 knew from the very beginning that they were going to be a part of history, and they were really going to have the chance to be a part of something so spectacular that was never ever going to be forgotten. And there are so many people that I know use Disney Plus to watch the original trilogy. Some people go back to try to familiarize themselves with the characters and how they differ from this era of Descendants of Zombies, which is very different. I know even people have gone as far as to review Descendants of Zombies as a franchise that is a Harry Potter or Wicked kind of vibe. And the cool thing about Descendants is there are a lot of people who had something to do with Wicked who were part of the collaboration of the Descendants The Rise of Red franchise. I know this is a very different take on Descendants, and sometimes it's very hard for the original fans of the original cast to kind of get into, but the industry is forever and always revolving and evolving into something far more spectacular. The music industry, the entertainment industry is forever and always revolving. And the thing is, there are always critics associated with this kind of thing. But thankfully, you guys have forever and always had my voice to help you make sense of Descendants of Zombies. And there's forever been something about my voice being associated with Descendants of Zombies that people have never forgotten about, and people have always and forever held on to. And for that, I just simply want to say thank you so much for having watched my videos on Descendants of Zombies. Thank you so much for believing in my videos on Descendants of Zombies, and having made this YouTube channel the most popular Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel against so many age demographics in the world right now. I can't even begin to put into words how appreciative I am of each and every one of you, because there is such a thing as happily ever after. There is such a thing as forever existing for everybody out there. And I think because of Descendants of Zombies, they have given us more of a reason to believe in forever existing and happily ever after having a chance for each and every one of us of happening more than ever before. And it has everything to do with how I believe that these moments should be celebrated, even if you have to upload videos about Descendants of Zombies for the rest of my life, to really drive home the point that Descendants of Zombies will forever and always hold a special place in our hearts. There's always been a special place reserved in every one of our hearts for Descendants of Zombies, regardless of what that defining moment was. Perhaps it was the very first time you saw the music video for Chillin' Like a Villain, and you saw that song go to the top of the Billboard charts in 2017, and Sophia Carson went on to become a superstar because of it. Or that moment that Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson recorded that powerful duet, Space Between, for the first time ever in Descendants 2. Or when Ways to Be Wicked was the opening dance number shot in front of that castle in Descendants 2. That was one of the most revered music videos of all time, and why Descendants 2 went on to become so celebrated and so revered. I will never forget the night that Descendants 2 first premiered. I felt so honored to be a part of it. I was sitting at home on my couch. It came on for the first time ever, and I watched a 2-hour and 15-minute long movie, and I appreciated it. If there was something to be appreciated about Descendants 2, I felt just the same way each and every one of you did, and ever so more appreciative of it. So if I was going to upload a video about Descendants 2, I was going to share my memories of being a fan with each and every one of you, and something I felt so honored to be a part of and really celebrate with each and every one of you. So having said that, I will return later on this evening, sometime between now and sunset, before the sun goes down, with one final video with my thoughts in it on Descendants of Zombies. Keep watching for that video to drop in my archives sometime today. Having said that, guys, thank you so much for always and forever holding a special place in your heart for Descendants 2 as we continue to celebrate it today, because I know that everybody is YouTubing Descendants 2, music videos, reaction videos, reviews. Everybody wants to remember Descendants 2 today, so I have no problem spending the rest of my day with you to upload videos on Descendants of Zombies and to keep this conversation going for however long we have to keep it going, because these moments deserve to be celebrated and should be honored. Guys, thank you so much for every bit of love you've shown every video I've uploaded from the very beginning on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching this video and keeping Descendants of Zombies in your hearts, forever and always holding a special place in your heart, forever and always. Thank you so much for having watched this video.